Seguimos en el LTE Latin America Summit con las entrevistas con los participantes del evento, y esta vez nos visita Doug Miller, que es el gerente de soluciones móviles de una empresa que se llama Nominum, con el que vamos a estar hablando un poco sobre lo que la empresa está presentando aquí o está comentándole a los operadores para que nos dejen saber su visión sobre lo que es LTE y el papel que juega Nominum en LTE. Doug, welcome to Toda Semana.
Thank you.
So, first off, tell us what is your role, or Nominum, not your role, but Nominum's role on the LTE ecosystem, and then we can explore why you are here and talking to the operators.
Sure, great. So, Nominum has a history in DNS and DHCP, and over the last about 12 years since we were founded, we have become the world leader in DNS and DHCP solutions for carriers all over the world, on all continents. We have over 100 customers that are using our software today. And how we fit in with the LTE ecosystem is really on two fronts, and without getting too much into the technology, it sits more on the kind of the control side, or the user plane, on the control plane side, as well as the user plane side, and that affects a lot of things, which over the next few minutes maybe we can get into some of those things.
Okay, go ahead.
Great.
Yeah.
Well, first of all, I will also tell you that over the last 10 years that we've been in business, that we've amassed some of the largest brands in the world on both the fixed and the mobile side. So from a mobile perspective, Vodafone, Movistar, you've got customers like Tim down here in South America, Codatel, and Claro. We've got some of the largest brands in the world that are using our software today. So the things that we're talking about at this conference and the things that we've launched elsewhere at other conferences are not new to the mobile industry. But the thing that's interesting now is the way we're packaging some of those solutions up to the end users. And some of the stuff I'll be talking about at my session a little later today, actually tomorrow, is how users can actually take these and create a more efficient network, i.e. lowering costs.
Without them knowing they're doing that?
Well, the carriers know that they're doing it, but the users, it's no impact to the users from a cost-cutting perspective.
Okay.
So by implementing a solution like ours, we make the networks run more efficiently. We provide a level of agility for them to be able to launch new services and be more differentiated much more quickly on the market. And in today's market, that's very important, especially with these new data services coming out, that it's just too hard to tell one carrier from another. And with mobile number portability, it's too easy for customers to change. So what we're doing is we're giving these carriers and customers solutions that will help them be more cost efficient and will help them launch new services in a very quick manner.
Okay, how is that related to the DNS?
It's interesting you asked that. So just a quick primer for the folks that are listening.
Yeah.
The way the DNS works is historically, people think of it as when you ask for a page on the internet, you want to go to facebook.com.
Yep.
The DNS has to be there to translate facebook.com into a series of numbers, which is called an IP address. So the internet works on numbers. Human beings, like you and me, we work on names.
Yeah.
So we're not going to remember a long series of numbers. So the DNS's job at a very high level is to convert those names we all understand into numbers. You send an email to me at doug@miller.com, the internet has to know how to get there. So what we say with the DNS is that we can actually use the DNS to not only create a faster and better experience, but we can also use the DNS to actually manage the customer experience better. I'll give you a for instance. So if you have a policy in your house that you want to make sure that your child or anyone that comes into your house isn't allowed access to adult content, you can do that via the DNS. Because remember, if someone's going to adultsite.com, the DNS
is it a real one or
a real one?
Yeah,
you can go check.
Ah, okay.
I haven't been there. Okay. It's a real solution, but I don't know if that's a real website. So you can actually take that website, that request, and via the DNS say, hey, listen, that's not allowed in this house.
Okay.
And actually redirect it to a site that says, this isn't our policy in the house. More importantly, for the people here in mobile environments, on a mobile phone.
Okay. So is Nominum's role with LTE not so much due to LTE, but more due to the smartphone phenomenon?
Say that one more time.
The Nominum's role on the ecosystem, on the mobile ecosystem, is more due to the smartphone emergence rather than the LTE emergence?
You know, it's a really interesting question, because a lot of the times when I talk to people about mobile, the first thing they think of is mobile handhelds, the mobile phones, right?
Yeah.
But that's just not the case anymore. Mobile devices can take the form of PCs, it can take the form of tablet computers, it can take the form of smartphones, it can take the form of wired PCs that just have a dongle in them. So mobile devices is not just a mobile thing anymore, a mobile phone thing anymore. So when we talk about moving from 3G to 4G or smartphones, from more like feature phones, it's not just about that anymore. So for instance, on my drive over here this morning, I saw a billboard for Claro about their new 3G services.
Yep.
It had no mobile phones on it at all. It had someone using a tablet computer. It had someone using, I don't know what it was, it might have been a PC with a dongle in it. But the whole mission and the whole message around their 3G services had nothing to do with mobile phones. Now that doesn't mean that that's their advertising campaign. But when we talk about mobile networks and the risks associated with mobile networks and the value that mobile networks can bring, we've got to make sure that we understand as a community that it's not just mobile phones. So for example, one of the solutions that we offer at Nominum is about saving spectrum.
Saving spectrum.
Saving spectrum. Actually,
So when you said the DNS at the beginning, actually DNS is just part of your portfolio.
no, actually we have
Or you're
DNS.
working everything doing from the DNS perspective.
Our portfolio includes DNS and DHCP,
Okay.
but everything that we talk about is around those product offerings.
Okay. So you're able to maximize the spectrum or if through the DNS.
That's exactly right,
Okay,
and I'll
so-
tell you how.
yeah.
So, for instance, a lot of the activity that's on mobile networks these days can be bot-related. So you think of bots and you think, well, that's PCs, it's people downloading viruses, my mobile phone doesn't have that. Well, I'd argue two things. One, it's not just mobile phones, which we just established. And even mobile phones are susceptible to viruses and bot-related attacks.
Okay.
The new Zitmo bot, and that's all about Zeus for mobile.
What is that?
That's the Zeus mobile botnet. So it's actually something that's designed specifically for mobile networks. And that's real right now. So hackers and criminals and thieves, they go where the market is. They're just like all of us here at this conference. They're marketing people, they're salespeople, they're all about profitability. And historically, mobile networks weren't profitable because people weren't doing anything.
Yeah.
Now with tablets and smartphones and PCs, people have all their banking information, their private information all on there. And so these mobile networks are now becoming very interesting. Mobile phones have all the banking and flight information and personal
So
contacts.
security is an issue.
Security is an issue as well. But getting back to spectrum,
Yes.
if we're able to remove a lot of the traffic that's generated by bots on a mobile network, and that could be a fraction of a percent, it could be 1 or 2 or 5% of the traffic on the network, if we're able to remove that or better manage it, if we're able to manage users that have been known to be infected with one of these viruses that's consuming bandwidth and radio spectrum, via the DNS, the way I just told you,
Yeah.
we can actually start to slowly chip away at some of that wasted spectrum. Now, to be clear, we're not talking about saving 50% of spectrum, but even if
You're
we're
not
able to
uploading a network.
no, not at all. So if we're taking 1 or 2%, or even fractions of a percent on billion-dollar assets, specifically down here in South America, the license that Anatol are going to be putting up for license and auction soon will be billions of US dollars. If we can just save fractions of a percent or a percent of that, we're talking about millions of dollars in savings for these mobile operators.
Especially if
every
the
year.
operators are doing some other activities around saving.
That's exactly right.
Now, if an operator, apparently you are kind of the leading on the DNS. If an operator is not doing DNS, do they have any other alternative of managing security, managing all these things that you're trying, or at the end of the day, going to the DNS route is going to be mandatory?
I'm glad you asked that question. It's not absolutely not mandatory. There's a variety of other ways you can do the things I'm talking about without the DNS. The reason why we suggest the DNS is the right way to go, or a better way to go, is because it's an elegant solution to a very difficult problem. Every carrier needs DNS. You cannot have a network without having DNS. But you absolutely can have a network without firewalls. You can have a network without all these DPI boxes. You can have a network without all these other devices that are put in place to do something else. You can't have a network without the DNS.
Okay.
So if you can leverage that DNS investment to be more secure, to be more spectrally
So
efficient.
basically what you're saying is operators, and sorry,
No, it's
interrupt.
okay.
So you're saying operators already have DNS. Let's maximize that DNS investment that you did,
That's exactly right.
and just make sure you kill different birds, or a couple of birds with just one shot.
That's right. And unfortunately, that's the tricky situation, is not all DNS providers are made equal.
Okay.
We have focused at our company on what we call a 3-tier architecture. The core engines, which is what most people think of when they think of DNS, the platforms, and then the applications on top.
Okay.
When you talk about competitive DNS providers, most often they're talking about those engines at the very bottom layer. And sure, you can say, well, ours is faster, ours is this, ours is that. We choose not to compete on that level, even though I could sit here and argue with you that we're the industry leader in those aspects too. But when you add on the platforms and the applications to build vertical end-to-end solutions around spectrum efficiency, around mobile security, around visualization and reporting, subscriber loyalty programs.
That makes a difference.
It makes a huge difference. It makes a difference not only from a technical perspective, but especially on the business side. And that's what carriers need. I mean, they're moving from 3G to 4G, as this conference is showing, and they're not doing it just to create more spectrum. They're doing it to create new business models. They're doing it to generate new revenues. I saw a really interesting stat in a presentation earlier that said 2/3 of the people that Informa actually surveyed said that they see a real business model in LTE.
Okay.
Which means, unfortunately, 1/3 doesn't.
Yeah.
So why wouldn't they go to a business model with LTE? Because they don't see the revenue. They don't see the customer additions. They don't see the new models.
Yeah.
And it's because it's so expensive when you start to layer on all those other pieces. But if you can do it in an elegant and efficient manner with that three-tiered architecture, then it's a whole different world.
All right. Well, Doug, thanks so much for telling us about it. And we'll take the DNS phenomenon with you guys in the future.
Good. Lots of news to come, so hopefully we can.
Thank you.
Thank you.